Hey guys, welcome back to my channel and thank you for spending some time with me while I talk about the MAONO PD400X microphone. If you're normally here for my smartphone photography videos, I will ask a favor if you guys could just maybe watch the video just for the algorithm's sake. But for everybody else, I hope you're excited to learn about this microphone. I greatly enjoy it. I'll be testing it in a lot of different modes. So this may not be the most optimal mode, but it is one of the modes that it has that's recording. But we'll do some extensive testing at the end, and you can decide for yourself if you think the mic sounds good, and you can decide which mode is preferable for you. If that sounds cool, stay tuned. We are now in a different recording mode, but don't worry about that. We'll talk about it more at the end. I wanted to start with a customer service story that I've had with MAONO that was quite positive. This is actually my second microphone from them because I bought one initially about a year and a half ago. Probably used it really heavily for about 6 months, but I never really moved it much. In fact, I was using it on the boom arm overwhelmingly. At some point, I started to have problems with the USB connection. It was one of those things where if it wasn't being held in the right way, or if you turned it the wrong direction, or you touched the USB cable in any way, it would just disconnect. And so it was constantly dropping the connection. And yeah, it truly was pretty annoying, to be honest with you. But I was trying to make that work for a while, but I eventually decided to just reach out to MAONO and I described the problem to them. They asked me to send them photos. I sent them a video actually showing them the issue. Like I would like barely touch the cord and you would see the microphone cut off. And they said, "So sorry about that. Let's send you a new one." And they got a new microphone out to me almost immediately. So first of all, MAONO is absolutely a company that takes care of people. They didn't know that I have a YouTube channel, and at the time, my YouTube channel was so small it didn't really matter anyways. So there's no way that they were influenced by, oh, well, this guy's going to talk about it, so let's treat him extra special. I was just a regular guy, but the customer service was fast. It was exactly what I would expect it to be, and it just made sense. Told them I had a problem. They asked to see the problem. I showed them the problem, and then they solved my problem. And that was all that needed to happen. So the customer service from MAONO is actually really good. I would say I thought I had a really great experience with them. So with that out of the way, let's talk more about the microphone itself. So I've managed to lose my voice a little bit since recording the first part of this, but we are going to push on. I wanted to talk about the rest of the device. You can plug this in with an XLR. You can also plug it in with USB-C, which I think is far more convenient. It is a entirely aluminum construction, I do believe. I don't think there's any steel or anything. I believe it's all aluminum. Even the stand is also aluminum, which could easily be plugged into a boom arm. I've done this already. Historically, I've been using this mostly off of a boom arm, but lately I just kind of hold it like a microphone with the base. Additionally, it does have a dial that you can use to both press and turn. Pressing it changes what you are adjusting, whereas turning it obviously will initiate some adjustments. There are some buttons on the back of the microphone, or I guess you could call it the bottom of the microphone as well. And pressing these buttons will cycle through the different equalizer modes, whether you want something that's a little bit more flat or if you want something that is emphasizing other parts of the sound spectrum, you can select that. There's also a capacitive button that you can see in green on the top, and I really don't like this button. It's probably one of my biggest gripes about the microphone. I think everybody has complained about this all the time when I was using this on the boom arm. If I grab the microphone to move it or pull it closer to my face, all the time I would accidentally press this button because, again, it's capacitive. So you don't have to click it. You don't have to press down until it clicks. Simply touching it at all will put the microphone on mute. Now, it's in a great place. It's convenient. It's nice that it has this light so you can see it clearly, but making it capacitive for a thing that I feel like you do regularly touch with your hands. You know, people do move microphones around a lot. I think that it really should have been made into a clickable button rather than capacitive. I think that would have been a better design decision. Finally, they do have a desktop app that you can use to interface with the microphone, and changes initiated on the microphone will be reflected on the app, and changes initiated in the app will be reflected on the microphone. So it works both ways. Finally, you can switch between doing more rudimentary, elementary, entry level adjustments to the microphone settings, or it does have an advanced side where you can play with a little bit more advanced settings, but I don't really find either one of them challenging. So I think maybe they should rename the, the simple or advanced, whatever they're calling it, but I think they could just call it, granular or easy adjustments. I don't know. They could call it something else, because I don't really think the advanced side is challenging enough that it should intimidate anybody. I think everybody could use both sides of the settings with basically no difficulty. Okay, guys, it's time to get a little bit more academic. What I'm going to do now is read a sentence on various audio settings provided by the application. I will also be changing the distance to my face. This entire time, I will not be using the puffball, whatever it's called, the little foam cover over the microphone. So if you hear any, air coming into the microphone, there's a reason for that. So just making you aware of that. For the people who are going to comment that I should put it on, you can comment that if you want to, but, it's kind of pointless. Anyways, the sentence that I'll be reading, for no particular reason than to include, a handful of sounds, is Butch Cassidy punched my grandma for a Snickers bar. Butch Cassidy punched my grandma for a Snickers bar. Let's start with the audio settings, and then we will go into adjusting for the different sensitivity levels and distances to the mouth. Guys, just for the sake of keeping the video from being too stale, I'm going to be rolling some of my photography on the screen while I conduct these audio tests. For those of you who are finding my channel from the microphone video, I do a lot of smartphone photography and teaching how to do smartphone photography, so I hope you enjoy the images. But with that being said, let's do the audio test. Okay, guys, so I have the following settings. My tone is set to natural. My EQ is set to flat. My distance to face is set to medium, which says that it's 11 centimeters to 30 centimeters. And I can say that my mouth is approximately 4 to 5 inches from the microphone, which I believe does fall into that range provided. So I'm going to read this line. Butch Cassidy punched my grandma for a Snickers bar. And I'm going to have to move the microphone into ways that you guys aren't really going to enjoy, but it's for the purposes of the test. Keeping all those settings the same, I'm going to move the microphone closer to my mouth and say the same line. Butch Cassidy punched my grandma for a Snickers bar. And now I'm going to say the same line from a distance. I am approximately maybe 18 to 20 inches away from the microphone, or my mouth is approximately 18 to 20 inches from the microphone. I'm trying to speak in the same tone of voice, and none of my settings have changed so far. Butch Cassidy punched my grandma for a Snickers bar. And guys, this is just for my own curiosity. I am clicking through the different settings while I am talking to see if it will make changes on the fly while in the middle of recording. So I'm currently on natural and near, natural and mid, natural and far, Now I'm back to natural and mid. Let me go to deep. So deep and mid, deep and near, deep and far. Now I'm on bright and far, bright and mid, bright and near. Did anybody hear any differences? I basically cycled through all of the various settings while I was recording an audio file, and I'm curious if it made a difference. Okay, guys, so for this test, all of the settings are the same except for the EQ, which has been changed to high pass filter. So we're on natural, medium distance, or mid, which again is 11 to 30 centimeters according to the application, but my EQ has been changed to high pass filter. Again, let's do the various readings of this absurd line. So again, this is about from the correct distance, maybe 4 to 5 inches from the mouth, maybe even 6. Here we go. Butch Cassidy punched my grandma for a Snickers bar. Now we're going to come a lot closer. Butch Cassidy punched my grandma for a Snickers bar. And now I'm going to hold the microphone about at an arm's length, not entirely an arm's length, but close to it. Butch Cassidy punched my grandma for a Snickers bar. Now we're moving on to the next test. Okay, guys, once again, everything is the same except for the EQ. We now have it in presence boost mode. Our tone is still natural. Our distance is still mid or medium, which is 11 to 30 centimeters. And I'm trying to talk in a normal tone of voice. I am approximately 5 to 6 inches from the microphone right now. Here we go. Butch Cassidy punched my grandma for a Snickers bar. And now I'm going to move the mic closer. It's quite close now, maybe 1 inch to 2 inches from my mouth. Butch Cassidy punched my grandma for a Snickers bar. And now we go at that almost full arm's length. Maybe we're looking at, again, 18 to 20 inches away from the mouth. So here we go. Butch Cassidy punched my grandma for a Snickers bar. This is the last EQ setting offered by the application. This is HPF or high pass filter and presence boost at the same time. I'm guessing it's going to use qualities from both. I am still on the natural tone with the distance set to mid, which is 11 to 30 centimeters. I am approximately 5 to 6 inches from the microphone. So let's read our line. Butch Cassidy punched my grandma for a Snickers bar. Now we move closer. We are about 1 to 2 inches away from the microphone. Butch Cassidy punched my grandma for a Snickers bar. And now we go to that almost fully extended arm. It's a little bit bent in the elbow. We're at about 18 to 20 inches, I think. And here's the line. Butch Cassidy punched my grandma for a Snickers bar. So now we will test if the gain dial on top of the microphone works while recording is in progress. I'm going to start turning the gain dial up and down. It's currently going up. I don't know if it's having any difference on the sound or not. We are at maximum gain right now. Let's crank it back down. So now we're going down. I'm still talking, but I am actively turning the dial down. So now I'll start to turn it back up. While recording, I'm turning it. I'm talking while I'm turning the gain dial. Can you guys hear any difference? Okay, I'm going back to a normal gain. I'm turning it down until I think it's normal. I think this is normal. I think this is where I normally keep it. Finally, I want to do one final test, and that is to test the different gain settings at various distances to see what the optimal combination of gain and distance is. So I currently changed it to deep, so the tone is no longer natural. The tone is deep. The distance is still set to mid, and currently we are on approximately a 50% gain. But we're going to start from the bottom and work our way up. So we're going to test 3 distances. I'm not going to go the arm's length because I don't really think that's realistic. What I'll be doing is I'll be alternating between 2, 4, 6, and maybe 8 inches away. I think that's more realistic, and I will let you know where I'm at, and I'll just say a couple things. I don't think it's necessary to repeat this line every time, but here we go. I am dropping the gain down to about 10%. Yeah, so we're on basically the lowest setting of gain, and currently I'm about 1 to 2 inches away from the microphone. Again, this is gain of 10%, or if you're looking at the lights on the microphone itself, it's only one light illuminated, which would indicate that it's at a very low setting. Okay, I'm backing up now. I'm at about 4 inches from the microphone. Everything is still the same. Deep tone, mid distance is the setting. The gain is at 10, and we are still in that high pass filter and present boost EQ setting. I forgot to mention that. So we are in that. Again, I'm about 4 inches away from the microphone. How does it sound? This is 10% gain. Okay, now I'm about 6 inches away from the microphone. Again, the tone is deep. The EQ is high pass filter and presence boost, and the distance is set to mid. Finally, I've moved to about 8 inches away from the microphone to finish up this test. This is still on gain of 10%. Okay, guys, we are now on 20% gain. And I am approximately 2 inches from the microphone. Everything is going to stay the same, so I'm no longer going to repeat the tone. The tone is deep. The distance is set to mid, and the EQ is high pass filter and presence boost. I will not be repeating that anymore for the remainder of this test. Again, I'm at about 2 inches away right now or less. I am on gain setting of 20. We're going to move back to 4 inches. Currently at about 4 inches from the microphone, I believe. Yeah, it looks like about 4 inches from the microphone. And I'm just going to continue to talk. Hopefully we can figure out what the optimal setting is. I hope that there's something that has a nice balance of clarity without getting that stuffy cracking of the, I forget what it's called, but when you have, audio clipping. When you have audio clipping. In any case, not important. Let's go back to 6 inches now. So this is about 6 inches away from the microphone. I'm trying to speak at about the same tone of voice. I think I subconsciously lower my voice a little bit when the microphone is very, very close to my mouth. It's just, kind of a habit, but in any case, no big deal. Now we're at about 8 inches. So this is what I think is personally realistic. Like 8 inches, I think, would be where somebody would put it, if they were trying to have some distance from their microphone. I don't really see people talking to microphones, 20, 24 inches away. I think 8 to, sometimes I see people have their mouth literally on the microphone, at least when it has the puff thing on it, the little foam cover. But otherwise, this little maybe 3 to 5 inches is what I usually see. In any case, not important. We are now at a gain of 30, and we are 2 inches away at a gain of 30. How does this sound? Gain of 30, 2 inches. How does this sound now? We're going to continue with the gain of 30. We're at 4 inches at the moment. How does it sound? Gain of 30 at 4 inches. How does it sound now with the gain at 30 and 6 inches? How's it sounding for you? Is it clear? Are you picking up a lot of wind noise? Are you picking up sounds from my mouth? And finally, we are at a distance of 8 inches, approximately 8 inches, I'm guessing. And everything's still the same, gain of 30. This is 8 inches away. How do I sound? Does it pick up a nice bass? I don't know. All right, we're going to increase our gain to 40. So now we're at a gain of 40. And we are talking approximately 1 to 2 inches from the microphone at a gain of 40. Now we go back to about 4 inches from the microphone with a gain of 40. I hope this sounds good for you guys. I hope it's picking up a lot of bass with a lot of clarity. I don't know. Let's move back to approximately 6 inches. This is 6 inches with the gain of 40. And I'm going to continue to talk in the normal tone of voice. I think I'm doing a little bit better at keeping a consistent tone now that I am kind of self-aware that I've been doing that. So it should be even throughout. Finally, we move back to about 8 inches. Not a big difference from 6, but we have moved back just a little bit. Hope that sounds great for you guys. Who knows what it sounds like? I certainly have no idea what it sounds like. But let's go up to 50. All right, guys, we are now at a gain of 50. I have moved the microphone approximately 1 to 2 inches from my mouth for the gain of 50 setting. And now let's push it back to 4 inches. Okay, we are now at 4 inches in the gain of 50 setting. So I should have about half the lights on the microphone illuminated. I'm using the application for MAONO to monitor my gain to an exact percentage. Let's go back to 6 inches now. This is approximately 6 inches. But I am able to see the percentage of my gain on the monitor for the MAONO application. And finally, let's go back to about 8 inches. This is 8 inches on 50 gain, looking at the monitor. And actually, I should make note of what the increments are. I believe it's 2. I don't think it actually goes up in increments of 1. I think it goes up in increments of 2. Let's push it up to 60. And yes, I can confirm that it only moves in increments of 2, not increments of 1. Right now, I am approximately, I'm approximately 1 to 2 inches from the microphone. This is gain of 60. Gain of 60. And now I'm going to move back to about 4 inches. This is still gain of 60. But we're about 4 inches away from the microphone. This is very comfortable to hold at this distance. It's not too close, not too far. Who knows what it sounds like, but I can tell you that it's a comfortable place for me to have the microphone. And now I'm at about 6 inches. Who knows if you can really tell much of a difference in the sound between 4 and 6 inches. I guess you guys will find out whenever you listen to this audio. Okay, I accidentally just touched the microphone, so if you heard a sound, that's what that was. And let me push it back just a little bit further to 8 inches. This is gain of 60 at 8 inches. How does it sound? Gain of 60 at 8 inches. I imagine that we're about to have really poor sound when we push the gain to 70, at least when the microphone is very close. When the microphone is very close at gain of 70, I imagine it's going to sound terrible. Here we go. We are now at a gain of 70, and I am holding the microphone approximately 1 to 2 inches from my mouth. This is gain of 70 at approximately 1 to 2 inches from my mouth. And now it is about 4 inches from my mouth. We are still using gain of 70. So this is starting to creep up into what I would consider probably too high to use in most settings. unless you like to have more of a distance from your microphone. This has been 4 inches. Let's push it out to 6. Okay, we now have 6 inches with the gain of 70 on the MAONO application. How am I sounding? I wonder if it's still clear at this point. I'm monitoring it on the screen on the MAONO app. I don't appear to be clipping right now with this 70 gain at 6 inches. Let's push it out to 8. We're currently at 8 inches. Still monitoring. We are at gain of 70 and approximately 8 inches from the face. I hope this sounds great, but we are going to march on until we hit 100%. Here we go. Let's go to 80. Guys, we are now at a gain of 80. We are at a gain of 80, approximately 1 to 2 inches from my mouth. Let's push it out to 4. So this is 4 inches away from my mouth at gain of 80. I am seeing it clip quite often, even when I'm speaking only when I'm speaking from a distance now. I'm still seeing a little bit of clipping. So hope it sounds okay for you guys. This is just for the test. It's nothing crazy. Let's go to 6 inches. Okay, this is 6 inches at 80 gain. How is it sounding? Is it still clipping? It doesn't appear to be clipping according to the monitor. I will have to listen to this again to see what it sounds like. And finally, I am at approximately 8 inches from the microphone. We're still at gain of 80, but we are going to continue all the way up until we hit 100 gain. Only 2 more to go, guys. I'm sorry. Only 2 more to go. We are now at a gain of 90, and we are approximately 1 to 2 inches from my mouth right now. Gain of 90. Every other setting is the same. I am now at 4 inches. This is 4 inches with a gain of 90 on the MAONO PD400X. How is it sounding? Let's push out to 6. So this is about 6 inches with the gain set to 90. How are we sounding? Do we sound great? And finally, let's push it out to about 8 inches. We are at 8 inches with a gain of 90 on the MAONO PD400X. All right, guys, here it is. This is it. This is gain of 100 at approximately 1 to 2 inches from the microphone. This is gain of 100. And now we are at 4 inches. This is 4 inches from the microphone, gain of 100. PD400X microphone by MAONO, 100 gain at 4 inches. Let's go to 6. So this is now 6 inches from the microphone. We're going to continue with the same tone of voice. I hope it sounds good for you guys. I am just going to keep talking. This is the final test. This is 6 inches. And finally, we are pushed out to about 8 inches right now. This is 8 inches at 100 gain. How do we sound? Hopefully it sounds great. I hope if you were considering buying this microphone that you were able to select a sound setting that sounds good to you, or at least a proof of concept that this microphone could sound good for you. I want to thank everybody that tuned in to this video. If you have any questions about the MAONO PD400X microphone or my experience with their customer service, please feel free to leave those comments below. If you haven't seen some of my other videos for smartphone photography, I'd really appreciate it if you guys would check out some of my other videos. I would be most grateful. Thank you all for coming along for the ride. I hope you enjoyed this review of the MAONO PD400X microphone. We will see you guys on the next video. Peace out.